Hey folks, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Saurabh Pol. Today I'm going to talk about common interview mistakes which you shouldn't make, and this is like job interview mistakes, right? Although there are some things which you can, extrapolate the learnings and you can think about them in any interview you're giving in your life, right? Whether it is like a entrance exam interview, like a college interview sort of a thing, even if you are interviewing, for a personal relationship like an arranged marriage or something, some people actually hold interviews for that. I'm not kidding. It doesn't matter, but my advice is mainly for like job interviews, right? Because I've given quite a few. I've succeeded at many, I've failed at many more, right? So I think failure teaches you more, and I have been taught a lot. Whether I liked it or not, I've learned a lot because I've failed a lot, right? And one thing I want to tell you is that if you think you're a bad interviewer, uh, don't worry. Most people are bad interviewers because nobody wakes up in the morning, nobody is born in this world to be like, bro, मैं ना interview देता है एक number. It's a skill, you have to build it, right? Some people are good at singing, some people are good at dancing. Interviewing is talking, presenting yourself. It is also a skill. You may be a good interviewer, but you need to improve on those skills any which ways, right? And if you're a bad interviewer, you just have to get better at it because your survival depends on it. I'll be very frank. Many people are like, अरे मेरे से काम होता है इंटरव्यू नहीं होता. तो ब्रो तू घर पे बैठ और घर पे काम कर. तू जॉब चेंज मत कर because every job change requires an interview. If you're a student or you are a corporate professional, right? Like it doesn't matter. Or you are like someone who's sitting at home for the longest time and आप जाके इंटरव्यू देना चाहते हो. Like even if you are in between jobs, you don't have a job right now, you can use these tips, frankly speaking. Let me not dilly dally, okay? The biggest mistake which people make when they want a job in a job interview, okay, is, and this is something I've told my wife also and many other friends also, and I said that after implementing it for myself. Now hear this and listen to this very carefully. The biggest mistake you can make while interviewing is really believe you need that job. Okay, even if it is the reality, you cannot tell yourself I need that job because it will reflect. You will look desperate. You have to go in that interview telling yourself in your heart, ki, I don't need this job. Even if this job, like honestly, even if you don't get that job and like घर पे वाट लग जाएगी ना, तो भी अपने आप को बोलना है कि I don't need this job. Because that's the way you can actually perform your level best. And you can't lie to yourself, right? But you have to trick yourself. Lying to yourself and tricking yourself are two different things. Because I'll tell you one thing, think from the interviewer's perspective, right? And I have interviewed people also. When you interview people, everyone is like, sir, क्या role है? क्या company है? आप भी तो, mashallah, sir, you're awesome, Like, I really want to join your company. The company's goals align with my personal goals so much, sir. Of course. And I'm not making fun of job seekers or interviewees, right? Because I have been that myself and I will be that in the future, right? That's how life works. But I'm making fun of the fact that everyone knows it's a song and a dance, right? Like many people feel if they just say what the interviewer wants to hear, it's gonna be good. Okay. Now, while that's not a half bad technique, but let me tell you, everyone else is doing the same. Most people, 80% of the people are gonna come over there and say exactly what the interviewer wants to hear. What is my biggest weakness? I work too hard. I take things too seriously. I don't know when to stop. ये सब बकवास बातें. Like these are things which now interviewers have known has been, it's no longer 2010 where like the internet wasn't that widespread as it is now. So the best way to go out there with the first thing is attitude, right? The mindset. I don't need this job. I want this job. I want it. मुझे चाहिए. But मुझे ज़रूरत नहीं है. You get the difference. Now you will be like, क्या बकवास कर रहा है यार, ये कुछ भी बोल रहा है, ऐसा थोड़ी होता है. It has worked for me, it has worked for a lot of people. And there will be moments in an interview when the interviewer is trying to trick you. They're trying to be like कि ऐसा बोला था but तभी ऐसा बोला था. You will not flip flop if you have a stable mindset, a stable approach. And the stable approach being that I don't need this job, I want this job, right? When you have that attitude, it is really helpful because you answer with more confidence, you are not flustered easily, and you are very composed, right? It's like talking to a friend, you know. Imagine yourself talking to a friend and इट्स लाइक कि चलना है कहीं पे, चलते हैं ना, चलना अभी 5 बजे है, 7 बजे अपन निकलते हैं, विल गो देयर, उधर मजा आएगा, विल गो टू द कैफे और समथिंग, लाइक नहीं यार ठीक है, मतलब यू नो व्हाट, आई वांट टू गो, बट उतना नहीं गए तो भी कोई स्ट्रेस नहीं है, यू नो. So you will be really, really chill, really relaxed, and then you will think clearly and things like that, right? Like you want something does not mean, like you are desperate. But if you need something, people can smell desperation. There is a challenge in India, right? The supply of people far outstrips the demand of corporate jobs, right? Because corporations are like, bro, मतलब मेरे पास इतना ही है, okay? My demand is of 100 jobs, but the supply is of 1 lakh people or 10,000 people. They are like, bro, you know what that means? They have leverage. Even if they screw up, even if the processes are not efficient, which they are not, they can get away with it because the market has so much supply of labor, of applicants, of prospects. They're like, okay, यार, even if I'm not efficient, who cares? Like, अच्छा candidate चला भी गया तो मेरे को क्या फर्क पड़ता है? मेरे को अच्छा candidate वापस मिल जाएगा. You get me? They have that attitude because it is true. It is true. In fact, सस्ते में मिल जाएगा because everyone is so desperate over here, right? So my recommendation is, firstly, do not be desperate. Be cool, no matter what, where you are. In fact, if you're cool, you know what happens? You can joke around. You can, okay, I'm not bragging, but this is the reality. I've really cracked interviews out of plain humor. Okay, हंसी मजाक में इंटरव्यू उड़ाया मैंने, मतलब टेक्निकल चीजें भी सॉल्व की है in the interview, but it's my personality, right? Like I like to think I'm funny, and oftentimes I am, right? And I make the interview laugh. I'm like, haha, this and that. You can't do that if you're stressed. Then it's nervous laughter, and that is from you, right? And there's no way in hell you can make someone else laugh when you yourself cannot laugh because you're stressed out. So you have to trick yourself because oftentimes, they will stress test you. There are interviews where they purposely will poke into you. They'll be like, क्या आता है तुमको, तुमको तो कुछ भी नहीं आता, तुम्हारे पास तो 0 years of experience है, या फिर तुम्हारे पास जो 5 साल का experience है, that is not relevant. And even if it is relevant, I don't think it's good enough for my company, right? You worked in services, oh my god, chichi tu tu, we only take product people, or something like that. Like, unfortunately, things I've faced, right? Now many a times these are tests. The googly बोलते हैं ना अपन, वो googly डाल रहा है, आपको लग रहा है यहाँ जाएगा, वो actually वहां जा रहा है. They don't want to, what they want to see is whether you get defensive or not, right? And I have been stress tested. They will put in sarcastic remarks here and there, and then they'll counter question you. They will never demean you. At least the professional interviewers will never demean you. I've never been demeaned in an interview, thankfully, because I've mostly been interviewed by extremely professional people, right? So, but what they'll do is they'll try to off, get you off track. They'll try to make you contradict yourself, which I have done. When I was not a good interviewer, I have contradicted something which I said in answer 3, which I did, in answer number 7, I said the complete opposite, and he caught me over there. And that interview was done and dusted over there. I knew he had caught me, right? I wasn't ready for that job any which ways. But the point is ki, if I was a cool cucumber in that interview, and if I didn't act like I really want this job, I would have probably gotten it. I would have probably cleared it. And even if you don't clear it, you will come back being proud of yourself कि I gave a very good account of myself. वैसा होता है. Like, come on, man. Like, think about it. Like, even if you want to, go out on a date with a girl, the last thing she wants is for you to be desperate or aggressive or, just plain crazy. Okay. Thankfully, like I can tell you that उतना common sense रहना चाहिए कि, how you behave with people in front of you. Think of it that way, right? Think of it that way. कि will anyone respect you if you start begging for something? Because as I told you, right, they have 100 people for one vacancy. So they are just gonna look at you like, whatever, man. Like, even if you're good enough, your attitude is not that great. We want our company में, हमारे company में ऐसे confident लोग होने चाहिए, एकदम amazing लोग होने चाहिए. Like, we want people who everyone else wants. Now, will that, and this is true, by the way, this is true. So always remember to give a good account of yourself by not wanting, not needing the job, but wanting the job, right? Even if they say कि आपके पास तो अभी तो कुछ नहीं, मतलब हाँ नहीं है. Even assume, right? Like you are in between jobs or you don't have a job right now. You can say, yeah, it's not there. That's cool. Like, am I not supposed to look for a job? Like I want this job. This looks very good. And then you can explain कि मेरा experience ये है, आपका ये है, and blah blah blah, and so on and so forth. So that is the first thing I will tell people, and the most important thing I'll tell people. Second is, please do your research of the interviewers. I have seen so many times I ask people इसके साथ है क्या इंटरव्यू, ओके, हु इज दिस पर्सन, उसका बैकग्राउंड क्या है, वो क्या करता है, उसने पहले कंपनी में क्या किया था. पीपल डोंट डू द बेसिक्स मैन. पीपल डोंट डू द बेसिक्स. Like I have like had interviews because they went in my favor, honestly, because of course I performed well, where I basically was like कि आपने आपका जो कॉलेज में एक बैंड बनाया था, what was that band about, just wanted to know, very curious. Now this person will be like, even if he or she, the interviewer is like, haha, ye to, he's trying to score points with me. But they will appreciate at the back of the head, what, this person's done homework on me. This person bothered to go on my LinkedIn or on my personal website or wherever, or my Substack or my Medium. And this person gave a damn about this opportunity. It shows that you care, you deep dive, you prepare, which is much more than most people do. So please go out there and research about the interviewer. Usually they do send you details of who's going to interview you. If they don't send you, ठीक है, चलता है. Know more about the company. I have seen people interview for companies not knowing who's the current CEO, who are the founders of the company, when it was founded, what is the latest news about the company. कुछ नहीं मालूम, ऐसे ऐसे जा रहे हैं. भाई क्या कर रहे हो? Why will they hire you? Like, see, this is not about clearing some random, body shopping company का interview, right? Like कि फावड़ा मार के 200 लोग को लेके गए, 1000 लोग को लेके गए. मैं वो इंटरव्यूज की बात, मैं एक्चुअल इंटरव्यूज की बात कर रहा हूँ. you know like something like by the way, campus placement interviews are very different from lateral interviews, right? Like I got the shock of my life when I went for lateral interviews. Like कॉलेज खत्म हो गया, कैंपस प्लेसमेंट में ऐसे ऐसे करके इंटरव्यू क्लियर कर लिया मैंने, मैं ये मैं वो. I went out in the market, I was destroyed in the market. Those interviews were extremely difficult, they were supremely technical, plus they could smell my desperation from a mile away कि हमको जॉब दे दो भैया, वो वाली हरकतें हो रही थी मुझसे. नॉट डायरेक्टली बट इनडायरेक्टली they figured it out, and then they don't take you seriously. I was not prepared for those interviews. I didn't know how technical or how in depth they are going to be. So I'm telling you, be prepared for those, right? Like, please be prepared, learn, be mentally prepared, and also have some common sense things like research about the interviewer, research about the, company, okay? Research a bit about the industry, research a bit about the competitors. ये सब मिला के आपको आधे घंटे के ऊपर नहीं जाएगा अगर शिद्दत से करोगे. Like, you honestly just open your damn phone, go through the company Wikipedia, go through the news section of Google, just go through Twitter for that matter, and just search that company name. You will more or less find something or the other which is interesting. you know Go and find what their latest competitors have said. Maybe that would be something that would be very helpful for you. I know it has been very helpful for me. So these things matter, and I really want you guys to improve the basics of what you can do. Okay, advanced मैं कुछ नहीं बोलने वाला यहाँ पे, because advanced cannot be done in a general sense. Advanced interview prep is always contextual in nature कि ये exactly ये है, and ये interviewer है, and this is the role, and then you go in depth and how to prepare. There's a very different way to prepare for a sales interview than a marketing interview than a finance interview, right? Even within marketing, how you prepare for a branding interview, a growth marketing interview, or even a like events marketing interview, product marketing interview, those are very different things, right? So that I'm not going to get into, but these basics you need to do when you're going out there and interviewing in the market, right? Another thing I would definitely think about is, please, for like, for heaven's sake, don't start taking things personally in an interview. Once again, I have done that. The moment an interview starts going down, sometimes ऐसा होता है, पहले 10 मिनट में ही आप समझ जाते हो यार खराब जा रहा है इंटरव्यू. कोई बात नहीं, don't lose heart. Many people do that, and they're like, what's the point? Many people do. I have friends who have quit interviews midway. Like, ऐसा नहीं quit मतलब ऐसा physically quit नहीं किया, mentally quit कर दिया है. ये तो होने ही नहीं वाला, मैंने बहुत बकवास इंटरव्यू दिया है. It's okay. Even if you give a bad interview, you're not going to clear. You know what matters? These people are going to remember you in the future, man. What is wrong with you? These people are going to remember you in the future, and who knows? And let them decide now what is good for you. What was a good interview? What was a bad interview? It's okay if you didn't get 2 questions. They'll probably like, what? If the others don't work out, probably we can reconsider this person. In the future, they'll call you. They'll call you in the future. होता है जिनको hire किया वो quit कर लिया, and they are like, "Hey boss, like it's been 3-4 months. Can you please? Are you free? Can you come back?" You get me? These things matter. These things genuinely matter. Go for it, honestly, and always give your 200% during an interview, and then only come out of the room or that Zoom meeting, wherever that is happening, Google Meets, wherever the interview is being held. Please do that. It's extremely important. Like, I'm not going to get on this video and tell you कि कपड़े सही से पहनो. If it's a video interview, then your background should be decent, or like there should be noise cancellation going around you when you if you're at home and everything. These are basics. I can't tell you all of this. Like, this is like, if you don't know this, I don't think you should work in corporate. इतना common sense नहीं है तुम्हारे पास, तो I can't help you, right? I personally feel the pole ke bol in this would be like, don't be desperate. Even if you are desperate, don't show it. Do not show it. What Second thing is, obviously, as I said, research the company, the interviewer, the competitors, the industry. These are basic things which people do not do. They just do not do. You know, and always remember, the question is in the answer. Okay, the question is in the answer. Many a times, what is required out of you, the kind of questions they are going to ask you, is always there in the job description. In the job description, they'll tell you, "Ki this is what we want the person to do." So you better be prepared ki, situational questions will be based on that only. Situational questions will be based on that only. अगर आपको लग रहा है कि hey, I want to, like, okay, I'll give an example, right? Like, another thing, very important thing which people don't do for some reason, they go with a I will crack the interview perspective. Don't go with the I will crack the interview perspective, right? या फिर ये लोग अगर clear, like, don't go with that. You should go with the perspective कि you should try to immerse yourself in that role before going in that interview room. You should call up a friend or someone who knows a friend of a friend and be like, bro, तू content marketing करता है ना? Like, I'm giving an example. Imagine I want to get into content marketing. I'm like, तू content marketing करता है ना? बोलते हैं नहीं यार, I don't do it, but I know someone this, वो दूसरे कंपनी में वो है, कंटेंट मार्केटिंग करता है. बेशरम होके गेट इन टच विद देम. Okay, बेशरम. See, when you want a job, na, you should be shameless. As I said, like, you want it, you don't need it. Be shameless. Just go out there, approach. क्या करेगा? रिजेक्ट करेगा ना? अच्छा है ना? रिजेक्ट होने देना, क्या फर्क पड़ता है? Who are you? Why you so, like, why do you have so much ego that, oh my god, I got rejected? So what? Screw you. Like, come on. Go out there, ask that person, bro, what exactly does your day look like as a content marketer? What are the biggest OKRs that you have? Okay, what are the biggest challenges that you have? How do you work with different teams internally? Who are the biggest stakeholders internally and externally? Okay, what is the biggest ask of the leadership from you? What is the biggest ask you have of your subordinates? Okay, what are the dynamics between you and external partners or agencies or things like that? You have to ask these things. If you're in software, of course, you will have to ask contextual things like, अरे भाई कौन सा लैंग्वेज है कोडिंग में, which one is important, which one do you use, ideally what is recommended, different frameworks or something. See, I don't know all this, but you need to know what to ask. Basically, वो बंदे को पकड़ो, बंदी को पकड़ो, बेशरम की तरह उनके पास जाओ, उनका 15 मिनट ले लो और 15 मिनट में सवाल जवाब करके आ जाओ. You will have a very good understanding of that role and what will be expected out of you in that role, and how you can answer. Your answers will improve if you do basic research. Now imagine if you, instead of just going to one person, you talk to 3 people for that role. Imagine how good your answers are going to be. And this has helped me. This has really, really helped me in my life. I've straight up called people for this role, for this that role. ब्रो तो क्या करता है? जिन लोगों से मैंने 2-2 3-3 साल बात नहीं किया, उनको बेशरम की तरह कॉल किया. Sorry भी बोला है. Sorry, I have not been in touch with you 2-3 years. But let's get on a call. And always remember, the people who have helped you, help them. As much as possible, help them. You know? वो तो बेसिक है ना, वो बोलना नहीं पड़ता किसी को, बोलना चाहिए भी नहीं. So this is what I'm trying to tell you guys, that research a bit, go and talk to some person who's actually in that role or has been in that role. It's very important. Lastly, do not worry about compensation. यार ये इंटरव्यू है, बट यार ये सिर्फ 25,000 दे रहे हैं, यार ये सिर्फ 75,000 दे रहे हैं, या सिर्फ 1-1.5 लाख दे रहे हैं, ये 2-2.5 लाख रुपए का रोल है, लाइक मंथली कम दे रहे हैं. भाई, तो इंटरव्यू क्लियर कर. तू मैंने Salary negotiation is another thing altogether. Don't enter an interview. By the way, do not enter an interview room if you're not sure of giving 200%. Because if you screw up an interview, or if you don't clear an interview, the company is going to come to you, and not come to you, the company is going to look at your name, your profile, and be like, ये बंदा 6 महीने तक इस कंपनी में अप्लाई नहीं कर सकता. I hope you know that. that if you are not able, if you don't clear an interview for a certain role, at least that division is going to be like, sorry, this person cannot apply for another 6 to 12 months. नहीं तो सब लोग बार बार वही लोग एप्लीकेंट्स आते रहेंगे. If you have been rejected once, you will stay rejected for 6 to 12 months usually. So I highly recommend that you be very sure if you're going into an interview, do you want to give it or not. Please do that. And for that, do not have to worry about कम पैसा दे रहे हैं, ज़्यादा पैसा दे रहे हैं. वो भाई वो पहले करना होता है. Even before accepting the interview invite, you are supposed to do all this mathematics in your head. Okay, this decision making. Do not do it after accepting. हाँ, interview तो accept कर लिया. Please be professional. हाँ? And being professional is nothing but being respectful for the person on the other side and to yourself. Even if the other side is not being respectful towards you, it's. I mean, I won't say respectful. Like, don't take disrespect ever. By the way, but even if they are not enthusiastic about you, let's just say that much. You know, I have been in interviews where I felt यार इसको मौत आ रही है मेरा इंटरव्यू लेने में, इसको ये तो कभी हायर नहीं करने वाली मुझको. And I have been in those interviews, right? And I was like, ठीक है, फिर भी I'm going to give a very good account of myself because you will find this person in the future somewhere. I promise you, you will. And even if you don't want to take that chance. Please don't take that chance, right? So anyway, that's the end of this video. Let me know if I missed out on some, you know, um, points. But yes, actually I did. एक वीडियो 20 मिनट के नीचे नहीं होता. I'm so sorry. There are some questions that you know. वो होता है ना, आप वेबसाइट पे जाते हो, FAQ सेक्शन होता है, frequently asked questions. They are there not because the company loves to put them there. It's because they are tired of listening to the same questions from you. दे आर लाइक फालतू सवाल कॉल वॉल जवाब ईमेल नहीं करने का, एफएक्यू सेक्शन में जाने का. और वहां पे हमारी एफएक्यू सेक्शन में सब लिखा होता है हमारे बारे में या हमारे प्रोडक्ट के बारे में. सिमिलरली देर आर एफएक्यूज इन इंटरव्यूज, फ्रीक्वेंटली आस्क्ड क्वेश्चंस. सौरभ, टेल मी अबाउट योरसेल्फ. सौरभ, how was your experience in your previous company? Saurabh, why do you want to join our company? Things like that. What are the biggest achievements you have had in your previous company? What were the biggest mistakes you did in your last company? Make a list of those 20 questions, man, and just write it in a Google Doc. सब फ्री बता रहा हूं मैं, ₹1 की तो आपकी खर्चा नहीं होगा आपके पास. दुनिया में हर इंसान के पास, जिसके पास इंटरनेट है, गूगल अकाउंट है, उसके पास गूगल डॉक है. सीधा एक गूगल डॉक पे जाइए एंड राइट दीज 15-20 क्वेश्चंस एंड जस्ट राइट योर आंसर्स इन फ्रंट ऑफ देम. एंड स्कूल में जैसे रट्टा मारते थे ना, वैसा रट्टा मत मारना, बिकॉज देन इफ यू स्क्रू अप इन द इंटरव्यू यू विल लूज योर ट्रैक. रिमेंबर, जस्ट हैव अ टेम्पलेट कि ये आंसर रफली ऐसा होना चाहिए, और अगर वो आंसर रफली ऐसा हुआ, आई हैव सक्सीडेड. बट you cannot be a deer in a headlight when someone asks you what were your biggest achievements in your last company, and they're like, oh, I did that, then I did this, oh, by the way, on the first point I got 20% improvement. अरे भाई, तेरे को रट्टा होना चाहिए हर एक चीज. Your top 3 achievements, your bottom 2 failures, things like these. What did you learn? What would you have done differently? What was your tech stack? ये सारी चीजें आपके पास होनी चाहिए. What was the ROI of that campaign? आप ऐसे नहीं कर सकते कि यार मुझे याद नहीं है. आप कर सकते हो, but then you will be 99 out of 100, not 1 out of 100, remember? So please keep that in mind. Have an FAQ section. I know so many people who are just like, हाँ, ये क्वेश्चन आएंगे, ये क्वेश्चन आएंगे, अरे लिख ले आंसर एक दिन बैठ के, इतना ही तेरे को जॉब चाहिए तो. एंड हियर्स द बेस्ट पार्ट, once you write these answers will actually serve you for the next 5 years. Because tell me about yourself, कितना ही चेंज होगा, थोड़ा बहुत चेंज होगा, आप करते रहोगे उसको. What did you learn? What was your achievement in X company, Y company, Z company? That is never going to change. Correct? That is never going to change unless of course you improve on the past performances. Correct? Like in that company. But if you leave a company, वो company का achievement वही रहेगा. Maybe someone will ask you 7 years later, ए भाई, ये जो कंपनी था ना, दिस इज अ वेरी फेमस कंपनी यू वर्कड इन, वहां पे तुमने ये रोल किया, क्या काम करते थे? अरे सर, गुड, ग्लैड यू आस्क्ड, बिकॉज इन योर हेड यू हैव ऑलरेडी क्रिएटेड दैट डैम थिंग 5 years ago ना. आई डोंट अंडरस्टैंड व्हाई डोंट पीपल डू दिस. इट्स वेरी सिंपल. एक गूगल डॉक में बना दो यार. आई कीप टेलिंग पीपल हु आई नो इन माय पर्सनल लाइफ, आई नो पीपल, आई एम लाइक, आई एम बेगिंग यू, प्लीज राइट इट इन अ गूगल डॉक, all these 15-20 questions and their answers. Those answers don't need to be perfect also, right? और रट्टा मार के मत जाना, वाट लगाओगे खुद का तुम, करेक्ट? चैट जीपीटी का प्रॉब्लम ये है, एवरीवन इज गोइंग टू पुट दोस थिंग्स इन चैट जीपीटी. चैट जीपीटी डज नॉट टॉक लाइक अ ह्यूमन बीइंग, ओनली अ ह्यूमन बीइंग टॉक्स लाइक अ ह्यूमन बीइंग. ऑल्दो चैट जीपीटी इज गोइंग टू clearly work on that and improve on that, right? Like वो change हो जाएगा, they'll speak more human, but as of now it's not the case. So please, I'm requesting you, be as authentic as possible, you know, and talk about your hobbies in an interview. You're not a robot, you're a human being. I know so many people who go in an interview, I work, I bring revenue, uh, I embody the company's goals, and I go to sleep. Come on, man. We all have personalities. Even if you're a boring person, you can say that. I'm a fairly boring person. I go home, watch Netflix, go to sleep. Something like that. But at least it shows you're a human being, right? Don't be desperate. Just, want a job, don't need a job. Okay. I wish you all the best, and please do well. Those were my Pokeball on how to crack any interview. Very high level, I know it. Maybe I'm wrong in certain things. Let me know in the comment section what you think, and all the best. Thank you.